Hello, this is Mike from MathMaker YouTube channel, and this video is going to be about how to solve linear equations. So this is solving a system of linear equations, which is going to be two of them, and what that means. So if you want a point of reference or you want to kind of play along at home, you want to be looking at page 376, 377, and 377 in the Kaplan GED test prep book. That's the 2021 version, but they're pretty much the same. You would be looking for lesson 10, systems of linear equations. So primarily this video is for any of my students who have not had the opportunity to attend a class on this particular topic. And if you're watching this video, this means you're already understanding how linear equations work, how to graph a linear equation, what slope and intercept is, and you're pretty close to being able to pass your GED test if you're at this point. This requires some geometry, it requires a coordinate grid, it requires some basic algebra to solve equations. So again, if you're watching this video, you're very close. You need to get your test scheduled and get ready to go. So we're going to try to keep this as short as possible without losing anything in the process. So there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do. First of all, understand that when you have multiple choice, sometimes you don't need to do all the work. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve questions 1 and 2, and we're going to do it as if we don't have multiple choice. But most of the time on the GED test, you're going to have the option of just testing some answers. So we'll also go over how that would work if you could just have an A, B, C, D answer. All right. So step 1, you have two equations in a system of linear equations. And what you're really talking about is if you have two equations that don't have the same slope and they're on a coordinate grid somewhere, they're going to cross each other at some point. Only if they have the exact same slope and are parallel will they not cross. So your answer when you're doing this is going to be a coordinate point. You are looking for a point somewhere where two different lines are crossing each other. That is your solution. That's what you're looking for. Okay? So one way that you could do this is by sketching out both of these on a graph and just looking where do they cross. So if we're going to do that, we would start with one of our equations. So we'll start with y equals 3x minus 15. Now again, if you're watching this video, you could probably know that this is in the form of y equals mx plus b, which is called the slope, because the m is the slope, and the intercept. So this is a slope-intercept form. All right, so slope-intercept form. So that means that your slope is 3 or 3 over 1, and your intercept is negative 15. Well, here's kind of a problem though. When we go to graph this grid only goes to 10. So our intercept is down here, maybe one more space. So we can't actually put it on the graph. Now our slope is positive, so it's a positive 3. That's positive 3 over 1. The top number is the change in y, so that means we're going to go up 3, and we're going to go over 1. So if we can find one spot on this grid, we can graph this line by going up 3 over 1, and then drawing a line on that slope. All right. Well, how do we get a point? Well, this comes back to the good old x, y, t chart. The t being the shape of the chart. There's no t out here. All right, so x, y. So now we could pick 0 for x, but we already know if we put a 0 in for x, then 3 times 0 is 0. And our y is going to be negative 15. Well, we already know that. That's called the y-intercept. That's why we put the 0 in. We know it's positive. So we know that from down here, it's going to be going up in a positive direction. So let's try a point somewhere on the x over here. For example, let's try 4. So if we throw a 4 in for the x, then we've got y equals 3 times 4. So if we put in a 4, we have y equals 3 times 4. minus 15. And then you just use your algebra skills. So y equals 12 minus 15. Y equals, should have it by now, negative 3. So if we put in 4, we get negative 3. So now we have a point that we can graph. So 4 on the x, negative 3 on the y is over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3. So now we have a point that we actually know is going to be on our line. We look at our slope, which is up 3 over 1, and we can go from this point and go up 3 over 1 and put a point, and go up 3 and over 1 and put another point, and go up 3 and over 1 and put a point, and go up 3 and over 1 and put a point. We could also go down 3 and backwards 1. So you can reverse this 1, 2, 3, backwards 1, and then the next one would be the point that we can't get to. So we can go ahead and kind of draw this line. And that's about where that line's going to go. So now that took a decent amount of time, and you have to recognize the fact that you don't always have a lot of time on the GED. You don't want to spend as much time on one question, but again, we're getting there. Might be worth a point if you have time at the end of the test. So now we're going to look at the second one. X plus y is equal to 13. All right, so you need to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So you got to get rid of this x. You got to get it over here. So you go minus x minus x. These cancel out. Y is equal to negative x, which means negative 1x. Although sometimes you don't put the 1 there. So y equals negative x plus 13. Well, again, here is your y-intercept. That's plus 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's up here somewhere. That's not great. So once again, we're going to make a real simple xy. If we put in 0, we get 13, but that's not helping us. But we know it's negative, which means this time it's going to come down this way. So let's try for something over here. Maybe we tried 1, 2, 3, 4. We tried 4. We hit a point. Let's throw in 5. So if we put in a 5, then we have y equals negative 5 plus 13. So y equals, go ahead and get it, negative 5, 13. Y is going to equal 8. So we go 5, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the y. And there's a point. So we know there's a point up here and the point here. But our slope is negative 1x, because there has to be a 1 there. We don't write it, but there is a 1. So negative 1x is down 1, because it's negative, and over 1. So from here, we can go down, over, and right there is the point that hits them both, down, over, down, over, down, over. And you can see that our original estimate of where this line was is lining up pretty well. Well, it was a little bit off. Jeez, that was a lot off. But we can see that right here, if we go to the point that is hitting both lines, is hitting right here. So we think our answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we think that maybe our point is at 7, 6. We think that might be the answer, because that is where it appears to us, or at least to me, but I think us right now, that looks like where it's crossing. Looks like it's crossing at 7, 6, which would be a point that works for both. But here is possibly the easier way to deal with this. If you have 4 answers, the other thing you can do, if this is x and this is y, is plug in the x for the x and the y for the y, and it has to make a true statement. So let's say we have a couple ABC. We have a 7, 6, we have a 3, 4. Maybe they think it's close. Maybe they give us one down here. Let's do like a 5, 2. We don't need to do them all. So we have an A, B, C, D answer set, and we have a 3, 4. Well, if this is a potential answer, we could check it by doing this. The 4 is the y, so you'd write 4 equals 3 times x. Well, the x is a 3, minus 15. Well, does 4 equal 9 minus 15? Well, 4 does not equal 9 minus 15 because 9 minus 15 is negative 6. So you can immediately eliminate that answer. That didn't take very long, right? That didn't take long at all. You might have even been able to do that in your head if you've been doing math for a couple semesters maybe. All right, so let's try the same thing with the 7, 6. So y is 6 equals 3 times 7 minus 15. Well, 6 equals 21 minus 15. 6 equals 21 minus, 6 equals 6. So that's good. But you have to check it with the other equation. You can't just get one of them because all that point means is it's on this line, which was our first one. So now you got to check it on the second line. So x, 7, plus y, 6, equals 13. Yeah, okay. So it works. Boom. There's our answer. We mark it, move on. All right, we mark it and move on. And that's probably faster than doing all of this. Okay, so that's one technique you can use. You can plug in the x for the x, the y for the y. You can also do just a real quick sketch. If you do a real quick sketch and you look at this point right here, even if you don't know exactly what it is, chances are, if you have multiple choice, you're going to be able to figure out from the 4 choices which one could be in quadrant 1 about 6 or 7 this way and about 6 or 7 this way. So, depending on your choices, it could be pretty obvious. So let's take a look at another way to do this. You could do it if you really like algebra. There's a way to do this without drawing a graph and without doing anything else. You can literally just do this with algebra. So it takes 3 steps. So we're going to go through this way, and then that's going to be this video for solving systems of linear equations. And there's plenty of practice problems that you can get for sure in the Kaplan book. So here's what you do. You have 2 equations, and you're trying to solve to find, remember, you're looking for a coordinate point with an x and a y that both these lines are going to hit. So it says, solve the first equation so that y is expressed in terms of x. So what that means is you're going to solve for y. So you got 7x minus y equals 22. So you want to isolate the y. So you have to get rid of 7x. So you're going to go minus 7x on both sides. Well, this is going to cancel. You're going to have negative y equals negative 7x plus 22. Well, we want y. We don't want negative y. So what we do is we multiply both sides. Every term here is going to get multiplied by negative 1. So negative 1 is going to be multiplied by every term here. So negative 1 times negative y is y. Negative 1 times negative 7x is 7x. Negative 1 times positive 22 is negative 22. So what we're really doing here is we're just flipping all the signs. You're doing that because you're multiplying everything by negative 1. So now if y is equal to 7x minus 22, we have done this. Y equals net 7x minus 22. Almost got caught. Okay, so we have that part. That's step 1. Now again, when you're explaining this, it takes longer, but this actually doesn't take too much long. It doesn't take very long. Substitute that value. Okay, so if y and this right here are the same thing, we can take, and instead of writing 4x plus 2 times y equals 10, if this is y, we can write 7x minus 22. So we're taking, if y and this are the same thing, instead of writing y, we're writing 7x minus 22. So we're taking that value, putting in the second equation, and now we're going to solve for x to see what x equals. Because now we're down to one variable. So when we get x equals, down here at the bottom, we will know what x equals. Okay, so how do we solve this? Well, first, anytime you're doing algebra, do what you can first. Let's do what we can first. So we're not doing anything with this 4x, but 2 times 7x is 14x. 2 times negative 22 is negative 44 equals 10. One step at a time. 4x plus 14x is 18x. Minus 44 equals 10. Need to get rid of minus 44 because remember, we're doing PEMDAS backwards. So instead of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we're taking care of addition, subtraction first, then multiplication, division, then exponents, then parentheses. All right, we're doing it backwards because we're untying the knot. We're going to get rid of this minus 44 by going plus 44 to both sides. So 10 plus 44, this becomes 0. We have 18x equals 54. And boy, are we almost done. We are almost done. So I'll move that down just a little bit. Now we have to get rid of times 18. So divide by 18. Divide by 18. Crosses out. 54 divided by 18 is x equals 3. So we know that x equals 3. Now that we know x is 3, we're just going to take that 3 and we're going to put it back in the first equation. So we can get rid of all of this. Goodbye. Okay, we get rid of all that and we write 7 times 3 minus y equals 22. And now we're going to solve for y. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times negative y, negative 7y, equals 22. Subtract. Oh, whoops. Just making sure I'm doing this right. 7 times 3, yep, okay. So 21 minus 7y, all of a sudden this isn't looking good to me. Might have to edit this out. All right, 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times y is minus 7y. That equals 22. We're going to have to get rid. Yeah. Subtract 21 from both sides. Interesting. These cancel out. Negative 7y equals 22 minus 21. This is going to be a learning opportunity because I feel like I definitely did something wrong here. Now what I would do next is divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7. Now at this point, I'm a little bit concerned. I'm like, what's going on here? Maybe you already caught what I did wrong. We'll see. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. Y equals negative 1/7. Well, I probably don't see that. Right? I probably don't see that on my answer sheet. And I've got y equals negative 1. So if I'm not seeing that on my answer sheet, and it feels like that doesn't make sense, I'm going to go back and take a look at what I did. Now I happen to know, because I have my answer here, that x is equal to 3. So I have the 3 right. So what do? When you're pretty sure you did the first part right, you got a whole number. When you get a whole number, you're usually good. So I'm going to go back and look. Okay, substitute that value of x, which was 3, into the first equation, solve for y. 7 times 3. Oh, all right. Now I see what I did. I did 3 minus y in parentheses, and it's not 3 minus y, it's 7 times 3 minus y. And this is going to happen to you all the time. Don't worry about it. 7 times 3 is 21. You'll get the hang of knowing when you did something wrong. You'll get that little feeling, right? You get that feeling. Like I just got that feeling. Okay, so now it's not 7 times, it's not 21y. It's just 7 times 3 is 21 minus y. So I got to get rid of the 21. Same thing I did before, except now I've got the right thing. All right, and I've got negative y equals 1. but we don't want negative y, we want positive y. So we're going to multiply that by -1. We're going to multiply this by -1, which again looks like we're just flipping these signs. So y equals -1. And look at that. That is going to be on our multiple choice, and that is going to be an answer. So -1. Nice thing about these are they're complicated enough that usually when you make a mistake, that answer is not going to show up on your A, B, C, D. So we've got 3 comma -1, and that is our solution to this set of linear equations, this system of linear equations. So that's where these two lines would cross each other. Um, okay, so that's how to do it. What I would suggest is you go through the rest of the book, practice the questions, get a study group, hop online with somebody, check your answers, right? Go do the same problems a couple times. Remember, if you have multiple choice, you can just plug the X and the Y in. So actually, let's do that real quick. So if we think that this is our solution, let's go back and just verify. Maybe you have a few minutes at the end of the test. Maybe you want to check and make sure you're good. So 7 times 3 minus -1 equals 22. And 4 times 3 plus 2 times -1 equals 10. 7 times 3 is 21. Minus a negative is the same thing as plus positive. Look at that. 22 equals 22. Good. 12 plus -2 equals 10. 12 plus -2 does equal 10. And you're good. All right. I appreciate you watching my video. I hope it helped. I'm very excited if I can help anybody on their journey to getting their GED. It's one of the bravest and coolest things that I think anybody could do. Lots of people out there, lots of people. I know in Pennsylvania, it's 13% of people don't have their high school diploma. You're not alone, but you're brave for taking on this challenge. And man, I wish you all the success in the world. Please leave a comment, like the video if you liked it. And if it helped anybody, feel free to send it and recommend it. All right. Low production, but hopefully good content. Thanks a lot. Good luck on your journey.